This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below. Welcome to History in the Eyes of a Southerner with your host, Anthony Allen. On this channel, we will take a journey through time and relate history to the contemporary eyes of modern America. I hope you enjoy the ride as I investigate and document the wonderful events that have shaped our present world. Alright, y'all. Good morning. So, after about 20 minutes of troubleshooting, I guess I can finally make another video. First thing I want to talk about, what's been going on with me. So, I guess getting old sucks is the first thing I want to say. 37 years old. And I've been blessed with pretty good health, I think. Aside from the fact that I smoke about 2 packs of cigarettes a day and don't always eat the most healthiest things and drink a whole lot of root beer. But I just recently had my gallbladder removed. So I'm out of work. I've been out of work for about the last 3 weeks, give or take, and looks like I'm going to be out of work for the next 2 weeks. All courtesy of a doctor's note. So going absolutely crazy. Those of y'all that know me know I cannot sit still for very long, so this is a new experience for me. But anyway, aside from the bad news of that, I'm going to talk about the good news. I probably should have done this video a couple of weeks ago, but again, with the issues that I've been having and a few other things, I didn't really get a chance, but I want to talk about my book. That's right, y'all. I'm a published author now. Self-published, but published nonetheless. This video here is going to encourage anybody who has something to say and maybe has a great mind to spin a good yarn, spin a good story. This is to encourage y'all. Put that talent to use. Now, I'm not a very avid reader. I would say that my 2 favorite authors are probably John Grisham and James But other than that, I've just never really, again, goes back to my not being able to sit down for too long. I've never been one to actually sit down and really read a book. When I read books, mainly 9 times out of 10 they're audio books, and I'm driving down the road. I'm tired of listening to the news because it's all bad. I'm tired of listening to the same old songs. I don't listen to a lot of new music. I listen to a lot of old music. Probably the only new artist I listen to is a guy that's really only known on YouTube named Buddy Brown. He's from right here in Mississippi. But other than that, I listen to a lot of old music, old country, classic rock, blues, jazz, you know. After a while, listening to the same old stuff gets old, you know, driving down the road. So I listen to audio books. Well, in my boredom, I'll go ahead and tell you how I got started on this. About 4 years ago, I was sitting in a prison in Rayford, Florida. As an officer, not an inmate. But I was working for the Florida Department of Corrections. And while I was sitting in the dorm, I was on night shift. The first, our shifts back then were 12 hours. And the first 6 hours I had spent on perimeter, which meant that I was sitting in a Crown Victoria driving around the perimeter of the prison at about 10 miles an hour with me, a handheld Motorola radio, and a 12-gauge shotgun. And that's what I did for 6 hours of my shift. Just drive around. Well, I'd also listen to talk radio. And I was listening to the Supreme Court appointment. I forget the guy's name because I've tried to distance myself recently from current events to the point to where I've forgotten most of what I used to follow. But I remembered how they were trying to discredit the guy. And I don't know if it was warranted or not. I don't care. I don't want to get into all that. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But it got me wondering, what if a guy wanted to run for public office? And let's assume that he was a genuinely good guy. Your ideal person, your ideal leader, from the way he looks to his life experiences, his dedication to community service. What if this guy was a genuine great guy and he wanted to run for office and he was running against a corrupt political machine? Man, I thought that'd be a good book. So I wrote it. After my 6 hours of being in perimeter, we swapped out at midnight. And I got stuck in the dorm. And my dorm sergeant, she, before I say this, I gotta say this. In Florida, dorm sergeants don't have to stay in the dorm. They're your alpha responders, and sergeants do pretty much whatever they want. Unless there's a call, and then they handle whatever needs to be handled on the compound. It's a pretty good post. I know this because later I made sergeant. But anyway, she went off and, she went and did what sergeants do. I didn't need her in the dorm because all 130 something of my inmates were asleep. But I had a computer. I had computer access. Now, I did my security checks and I did my counts. I did my job. But I also started writing. And I think that night I probably wrote out about 6 pages. And those 6 pages, 4 years later, became almost 500. This book tells the story of a man by the name of Jake Fayard. Fictional. 100% fictional. And it starts off that Jake Fayard was a Marine. He was combat wounded. After his enlistment, he got an appointment to the Naval Academy. Later became a JAG lawyer and then retired. Retired as a colonel. And then from there he had a private practice. And decided to run. And he faces a lot of trials and tribulations. Somebody tries to kill him. His son's kidnapped. And eventually, going through all this, he still stays the course. Gets elected. Then when he gets up there, he sees the corruption up there and tries to fight it. It's your political David versus Goliath. Again, the book title is called Against the Flow of Mississippi. It is my first book of many, I hope. I'm writing another one that I'll talk about. It's called Beyond the Count, Life on the Compound. Again, it may take me another 4 years to finish it. This is not something I do full-time. My full-time job is I'm a correctional officer. So that would be my full-time job. This is just a pastime and a hobby. Also, a note, I'm no longer on night shift, so I can't spend my time at work writing. I'm on day shift, so I actually got to do some work. But I do want to encourage y'all to order the book if you would. I'd appreciate it. You can find it on Amazon if you just type in the title, Against the Flow of Mississippi. Don't type in Anthony Allen because you're going to get a whole bunch of other stuff and none of it's related to me. But if you type in the book's title, you can find it. I've got it listed on there. Paperback versions are $15.99 and the hardback versions are $35.99. I had to put it that much because really, honestly, it's the only way I could really make a profit. Yeah, I'm not doing this to get rich, but it'd be nice. I never really set out to do this to get rich, but I guess it's part of my legacy. Once you publish a book, it's pretty much there. And while I'm talking about that, I do want to say this. For those of y'all who were like me and just starting out writing a book, if you're gonna, if you're at completion or close to it, you can go to a lot of places. There's a lot of companies out there, a lot of publishers. Austin Macaulay, they'll look at it. They rejected, well, at first they accepted it and then they rejected it, and that's kind of my fault on why Austin Macaulay rejected. The reason is my thoughts, and they didn't say it, this is just my thoughts, is I didn't have enough content. And at the time that I submitted it to them, it was more like, I just want to get this done so I could say I've done it. So if I wouldn't have done that, I probably would have been all right. So that's my fault. And once they reject a project, they won't let you resubmit that same project, and that's fine. But I'm not saying anything bad about Austin Macaulay. Those were that was the first first place I sent the book. Another place that I sent the book was Page Publishing. They never rejected me. They just wanted, I think it was close to $3,000 to publish my book. And they also put something in there about exclusive publishing rights. Basically, they own my work. And they'll give you a website and do all this whoop-de-doo for you. Which is fine if you want to go that route. Well, I know a little bit about websites myself. And I've talked to a few people. Another one I spoke to, and I really like this guy. I was going to go through him, and that was Escarpment Press. A guy by the name of Joe Perrone. He's out of South Carolina. He's a really nice guy. And I think he's a very talented guy. He suggested I change up my book, and, that's on him. He's a one-stop shop guy. And, I mean, there's just a few things he wanted me to change up. But, hey, he's going to put his 2 cents in. That's kind of what I wanted, was somebody to put their 2 cents in, and I'm glad that he did. I didn't take any of his advice, though I did appreciate listening to him. And I think that if I was going to actually use a publisher, he would be the one that I would use, just because the man just made sense. And he was also cheaper than everybody else. I think he only wanted about $2,000. The easiest way that I found to publish, and this is how I did it myself, was I went through Amazon. When I had the book to where I was happy with it at completion, I knew that in order to get the in my hand print, the real print, versus an ebook. I'm not crazy about ebooks. I mean, they're all right, but I could take them or leave them personally. I wanted to feel, this feels like success to me. I can hold it in my hand and it's got my name on it. It's a badge of pride for me to hold this in my hand and know this is my work. Um, but I know a lot of people like ebooks, and I wanted to make it available for people, so I figured, well, you know what? I'm going to see if I could do an ebook on Amazon. So I started looking around, and I found Kindle Direct Publishing. Well, then it gave me the option to do a paperback and a hardback too. Okay, I can work with that. I can live with that. So I did that. I had to play around with my book cover, but I finally got it to where it was acceptable. And that's why I'm self-published on Amazon. The only money that I have in my book is the $50 I paid a friend of mine to make the cover. And I think he did an excellent job. I'm happy with it. As far as actual paying publishing cost, I didn't have to do that because I went through Amazon. Now, that means that I've also got to publish my own book. I have no problem publishing it. Promoting it. I have to promote my own book. And I've done that. I've got shirts that I've made up. I've got a bag that I keep my books in when I go places. I have my website, which is anthonypallen.com. I had to use my middle initial, even though I never use my middle name, but I had to use my middle initial because anthonyallen.com was taken. I'm setting up local book signings. Created a poster. And I've got a tripod that I put it on. Or will be putting it on when I go to do these book signings. I haven't done one yet. So I'm promoting it all on my own. I've sent it out to about every friend I've got. I've sent copies out to some of my friends. I've had other friends actually go and buy the book, and I appreciate that because it'll certainly save me on postage, and they're out of the area, but hey, if I ever see them again, I'll sign the book. If you want your own author copies on Amazon, these cost me, I think, $6.55 plus shipping. I usually order about 10 at a time. Hardbacks, I have not gotten them in yet. I think I ordered 3, and I think they were like $11.99. Those actually should be in tomorrow, I think. The author copies, it doesn't seem like Amazon's in too big of a hurry to send them out. But if somebody was to go in and buy the book, paperback anyway, they'd have it in a couple of days. My author copies take about a week and a half to get in. But again, I also try to order 10 at a time. Again, this is just to encourage anybody who's thought about it. Do it. If you have thoughts that you think people would be interested in, or like I said, if you can spin a story, do it. Push on. Drive on, brother or sister. Drive on. Um, Again, this will not be my last one. I will say that I would like an agent, somebody that knows the industry, to help me promote this book. I'm currently self-published, but if somebody is interested, we can work out a deal. I'm not opposed to going that route. I'm not locked into a contract with Amazon over anything. In fact, I'd say I'm pretty flexible on it. Another thing I wanted to mention is copyright. I did copyright my book. And I think this is important for everybody. Again, this is a Florida Department of Corrections story. To show the integrity or lack thereof people have. We had a correctional officer who's now a very famous man. I believe he worked at South Florida Reception Center. Now he's a rapper. His name's Rick Ross. Allegedly, the story I heard was that a lot of his songs at first were lyrics that he stole off of inmates. Hearing that story, I will say, protect your work. And I'm not saying whether Rick Ross actually did or didn't do it. I don't know. I am saying that the smart play is to make sure that what you do is protected. Copyright infringements, plagiarism, unfortunately, it's common. And if you're going to steal from me for writing a book, you about as low as they go, in my opinion. So make sure you protect yourself. Prove that the work is yours. I think a copyright, I want to say my copyright costs like $65. Money well spent, in my opinion. So if I was y'all, I would really look into doing that. Feel free to leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Hopefully some of y'all see this and decide to buy my book. I'd appreciate it. Hopefully, if you are writing, you'll comment with the title of your work. I'd be glad to read it. Might be something I'm interested in. You know, this is the first form of entertainment was books. People read books long before they ever had a TV or a radio. And I don't think it's a lost art at all. I mean, we still have a New York Times bestseller list, so obviously it's not a lost art. So if y'all are starting to write, I encourage you to keep going. and good luck to you. Post your video. Tell your story. And be careful, because if you're like me and you're new to the industry or uneducated with the industry as I was, and I still am, I'll go ahead and go out on a limb and tell you that I am still brand new, green as the grass grows with this. Before you sign a contract with somebody, unless you are versed in contract law, which fortunately I am, if you don't understand something, don't hesitate to ask. And if you really don't understand it, don't hesitate to consult an attorney. And before you sign a contract, I don't care if this is a reputable publisher and they're offering you $500,000 off the rip for your book. Read every word on every page of that contract before you sign it, and make sure that you understand it. And if you don't understand it, find somebody, not the publisher. Find somebody who you trust, who can translate the document into English for you. And that's just that is the name of the game. I don't want to see anybody get screwed out here. Naturally, because of maybe it's because of where I work, maybe it's just because I was born that way, I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical on who I trust. I know that I can say that this is mine. I put 4 years of my life, 4 years out of 37, into this book. I'm not going to just hand it over to somebody. This is my baby. Probably the only thing more important to me that I have produced than this book would be my daughter. That's how I look at what I'm doing here. That's how sacred I take my work. Now, you may read it and you may say, hey, you know what, Anthony, that book was trash. Okay, thank you for the criticism. I appreciate your opinion. But as far as protect what's yours. Just my advice. Appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a good morning.